So we've talked about entity relationship diagrams, and their relevance to our subject. And the purpose of this video is to show you how to create entity relationship diagrams using free software. So let's see how to do that. So brief summary. So this software helps you draw entity relationship diagrams, and it's free, as I said, and it's an online service that can be accessed through their website, ERDplus.com, believe it or not. And everyone, so before proceeding forward, everyone should access the website and create an account, and then continue watching the lecture. So we've discussed a diagram that represents a conceptual model of our database containing information on faculty and students. So let's draw this diagram using ERD Plus.
So this is the website we'll be using for creating entity relationship diagrams. So the address is erdplus.com. So once you get here, log in, you need to create an account. It's all free, quick and easy. Log in. And once you get here, we need to create a new diagram. So we can call it whatever, faculty student ER diagram. This is the name that I used before when I tested this, so I'm going to use that name, but you can use any name that works for you. So, and here's a list. So this is basically a list of all diagrams to have. I have only one, this is why only one is showing up. So in order to work with this one, we need to double click, or one click actually. So this is our working area, and you can actually, I think, yeah, you can canvas, you can change canvas size to whatever you want, depending on your needs. Experiment with that, see if it helps in any way, but I'm just going to keep it default so that there is no any extra work. So as you remember, entity relationship diagrams are organized around entities, which is the main thing around which the data is organized. So here's so in order to first, well, let's go back to the diagram that we wanted to recreate. So that diagram shows the faculty and students relationship. So we have two main entities. One is faculty, the other one is student. So click on entity and then double click anywhere and you get your entity. So let's rename it. And as you remember, we name our entities using capital letters. So that's going to be faculty, and another entity here is student. So we have our two main entities. So it begins to look like what we saw in our original diagram. Now we need to have a relationship between them. So here's our relationship, and this is basically our advising. So here we can select, once you click on advising, you can select what it is related to, right? What entity. So faculty on one side and student on the other side. So as you remember, hopefully we can basically use specific notation to indicate is it one-to-many, many-to-many, or one-to-one. And in our specific case, we had one faculty related to many students, and many students are related to only one faculty. So if we click here, it's many and student one. So student can be related only to one, and faculty can be related to many. So this is the the main framework of our diagram. Now, by the way, you can select it like this, holding your left button, and then drag in here, and so I put it in the center. So we have now our basics here. Students are related to faculty through advisor. Now we need to add our bubbles, our attributes. So the way to do that, you either can click attribute, hit here, rename it to, what was it, office phone, right? And then we can connect these. Click on connect, click with your left button here, hold, and connect to faculty and release. This is one way of creating an attribute connected to faculty. Now, another way is click on faculty and then hit add attribute, and you're going to have another attribute right here. So you can place them any way you want, very easy. So this one is going to be name. And one thing you remember about name, that it can be further divided into atomic attributes. So we select composite, and it's been put into parentheses. And same thing can happen here. You can create click attribute, place it here, then manually connect, or basically add a component attribute. One of these is last name, and another one is first name. So standard attribute, composite attribute with two additional attributes here. And another attribute, actually composite attribute, was address. And address was here, and we can add component attribute, which was room number, another one that was building name. So as you can see, this is very straightforward, very easy, and you can have all kinds of manipulations here performed, and you don't really need anything complicated. Just click on what you want to do, and you got it. Faculty ID. Now, faculty ID was well, peculiar in one way. It was a unique identifier. So this is how you select the unique identifier, which will separate different faculty members from each other. They're separated by their ID. So, and in following this process, you can recreate the entire diagram. And this is how relatively easy it is to me. I think it's very easy. So same thing happens here, obviously, and you proceed until you recreate the entire diagram. Now, if you want to move things around, relatively easy to do. As you can see here, advising, and so on. You can add as many entities as you want. You can move the entire thing like this, place it somewhere. Now, if you wanted to export it, you can export it, play with the background. You can have very high resolution if you want. So all of these options are available. So this is how you create an entity relationship diagram using ERD Plus website, a free software that you can utilize in the future. So the entity relationship diagram, which we just created manually on the website, as you hopefully remember, is a conceptual module of our database. It's basically an image of the database we'd like to create, an image in our head. So and the next step in developing a database is to translate that into relational schema, which looks more like tables with variables. So when we transform our ER diagram into relational schema, it looks like this table here in this slide. So, and as you may notice here, we don't have composite attributes anymore. We just have a list of attributes for each entity. And this is what we have. We don't know which one is composite, which one is not. It's just a list of separate attributes that we're going to include in each table for each entity. We also have a new attribute in student table called faculty ID FK. So can you guess why we need a faculty ID in the students table? So FK here stands for foreign key, which means it doesn't belong exactly to this table, but we need the faculty ID here, this foreign key in the students table, to connect each faculty member to the student they advised, or to connect each student to the faculty. If we didn't have any faculty information here, we wouldn't know who from the faculty group advises who in the student group, and we would not be able to connect these. But having here the foreign ID, faculty ID, we know how to connect student table to the faculty table. So now there is one more step with ER diagrams on the website that we need to perform, and basically which is to convert the ER diagram that we just created into relational schema. And let me show you how to do that, and it's really easy. So in order to convert ER diagram to relational schema, let's go back to the website. So this is where we left off. I just added first name and last name. It doesn't really matter. A couple of attributes just to have some. Well, of course, it matters if you're trying to create specific diagram for a specific database, but I mean, for our purpose, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a couple attributes here. So let's save this and go to documents, and we have our ER diagram here. And I have only one, but if you create many, you would have a list here. And the way to convert it to relational schema is just click these three dots and then convert to relational schema and then create. And you have your relational schema. So let's click on that, and this is basically what we were talking about. So it shows us exactly what we need to create. If this is the diagram, first we create a diagram, then from that diagram we create a relational schema, and it tells us what tables we need. So if we use the diagram that I just created, it was incomplete, as you hopefully remember, because I didn't list all the student attributes, very few, and I don't think I listed all the faculty attributes, but the list would have been just longer. That's it. But so but this relational schema says that we need to create one table with these attributes and the other table with these attributes and with the foreign key here. So I hope this makes sense to you. We can also manipulate it here, but if we created a good diagram, then you don't really need to manipulate anything. So this is how it works, and this is a quick tutorial on how to create ER diagrams and relational schemas. And further, as we move along through the module, we'll use Access to create a database with different tables as indicated in this relational schema.